Teresita Blanco, the Artsysister, and today I'm going to read you La Casa, written by me. And we're in chapter 5, Isabel la Catolica. The following days, the family spent in cleaning up the apartment. When it was made presentable, the permutation process started. The negotiations at first started with one party, and then several others got involved. After much back and forth, the family acquired the house in Isabel la Catolica. The apartment was gotten by a deaf lady who did not mind the sirens, and so each party acquired what their hearts desired. To help furnish the new house, a lot of the old stuff was acquired from the house in Palma. The library for one thing was transferred to the new house, in addition to two of the beds and the living room furniture. The TV also belonged to the Mason family. During the day of the move, Angelica noticed a fallen chandelier. It had fallen on top of one of the beds they had kept. They had a repair, and they moved the bed to the side to avoid having the chandelier fall on top of anyone's feet. Aside from the chandelier incident, the house did not show any other noticeable problem. It had gotten some water damage from the hurricane, but it had been superficial. The walls were made of bricks and concrete, cladded with stucco, which gave the white walls an interesting texture. It had been smooth over the years with each new layer of paint. The materials of the wall and the nature of the wood meant that nothing got rotten. Those old colonial buildings have been made to last. They do not fall over easily in comparison to the cardboard boxes that the people in the States call home. The last owner of the house was a fellow named Horacio Olivera, age 81. His wife had died and his daughter had left to the United States decades ago. He barely saw her, and his drunken son was not very much good company. Eventually he got sick. It was during his illness that he met Dahlia. She was an elegant mulatto of extreme beauty and black hair, and her mother was Chinese, and her father was from Senegal. This 48-year-old lady found the old man quite vulnerable and useful. It got to such a point that whatever money Horacio received from the state, he would spend it on his dead little Dahlia. Since her father was starving because of his lover, Horacio's daughter Clarita started sending money to her cousin. Her cousin would then buy provisions and not give cash directly to her father. Since he no longer had cash to spend on Dahlia, he was making the effort to sell his house. Before he actually got around to doing so, he was found dead. There was no serious investigation in this matter since he was 81. The coroner simply eyeballed the corpse and ruled it natural causes. It was still common belief that Horacio's family had killed him to keep him from selling the house to give money to his lover. This may be murder house was the one that the Masons moved into after permuting from the apartment and the house from La Palma. After her father died, Clarita started sending money to Cuba. The day the move was concluded also happened to be the eve of Lucero's birthday. Lucero was born on the same day as Angelica, November the 1st. On October 31st, the family moved the last item and they gave the key to the apartment to the new owner. This was the first time that the children set foot in the new house. Lucero looked at the bars of the living room, the familiar couch and curtains, the TV, and the large bookshelf and the rocking chair. Lucero sat down on the rocking chair and started to be pensive. Whenever she got moody like that, it was best not to engage her. As for Horacio, he started to explore the house. He went to the living room, to the concrete garden, to the kitchen and the back garden. He then asked his father, "Where are the rooms?" "Over there," said Eduardo, pointing to a closed door. Horacio tried to open the door, and he removed the lock, but the door did not budge. He then locked the door and tried opening it, thinking that he had opened it wrong. Eduardo in the end came to the door and pulled at it. With some degree of effort, the stupid door slowly opened, and then very quickly. It was an interesting quirk about the doors. You first have to pull hard and then to get them to budge. Eduardo made a mental note to grease out the door. Even with his future precaution, the doors continued to behave as they always did. The previous owner of the house was aware of the problem. This was part of the reason why he never bothered to close the doors in any other bedroom. It was too much of a bother for someone his age to do a force of any kind. The bedroom arrangement was made thus. Irina had the bedroom nearest to the kitchen. The parents and Lucero had the middle room, and Horacio had the bedroom close to the living room. He was given the room because it was common for a fashion to wake up super early to watch the 4 a.m. cartoons. Wherever in the world would they have kids shows at such an ungodly hour was a matter of some debate. The shows at the bar were sometimes featured animated movies from Japan. Just the night before, Alfredo had seen Messenger C. He was itching to see if there was going to be more robot-related movies. For this reason, he asked his father, "Which room is mine?" "This one," said his father, opening the twin doors in the living room that led to the child's bedroom. The decoration did not give a hint to the age of the occupants, since most of the decorations stayed behind. The bed was a tapestry featuring a forest and a river. There were 2 armories and a large glass shelf filled with encyclopedias. At the foot of the bed there was one of those old wooden coffers that the family was always lugging around. This one in particular had all of the wedding dresses worn by Angelica's great-great-great-grandmother. One of them lived long enough to see Lucero's first steps. As he tried on his large 2-person bed over the top, Alfredo lay down on the left part of the bed and went to sleep. By now, Alfredo had gotten his daughter under control. He had gotten over because his family did not draw too much attention to it, and he also took speech therapy. Alfredo did not go to sleep in the middle of the bed because Lucero liked to roam at night. Back in the old apartment, she would leave her crib to go to Francio's bed, and then she would go to Irina's room before settling down beside her parents. It was very rare that she would sleep in the same bed for the entire night. As for the source of Lucero's moodiness, she was not too happy about losing her crib. Her parents had gotten her a normal bed. They had given her the bed of one of Angelica's cousins they had given her crib to one of Angelica's cousins who was with child. Angelica figured that she was not going to need a crib ever again thanks to her husband. After Alfredo went to sleep at 4 p.m., Eduardo went to the library to pick up a book to read. He did not read it, however. Instead, he focused on the little child. He wondered what was going on inside that little head. There was indeed cause for concern. A week from now, Lucero was going to begin school. Alfredo was to return to school. When Lucero was told that she was going to go to school, like her brother, she did not seem too pleased. This displeasure only showed ripples on the surface. They were only noticeable by the flat, accurate tone she gave in all of her responses. In the end, to give the mother and grandmother a chance to start the birthday preparation, Eduardo said to Lucero, "Want to go for a walk?" "Fine, sure, whatever," said Lucero, getting up. The two walked outside to give a cursory view to the new neighborhood. All the houses in each block were fused, one next to the other. Each front porch was separated by a fence. The front of the apron in this house had 2 sitting spots, and in front of each there were some red flowers and spiky thorns. Eduardo took his daughter by the hand to go for the walk. He walked in such a fashion as to be on the side of the road at all times. He imagined that in the eventuality of being run over, he could serve as a human shield. Such silly notions of self-sacrifice were pretty common for Eduardo. They were all born from the guilt of deciding for his better half. The pair walked the neighborhood, and they noted a couple of audiobook here and there. The most interesting of the fellow was their next-door neighbor. When they first saw him, he was punching a wall while in his underwear. From time to time, he would make some bizarre yelling sound. To Eduardo, the man looked like a crazy person. Crazy people were common in Cuba. They were usually looked after by family members. From time to time, they would go to the Madhouse Mazorra for electroshock therapy before being returned home. The electroshock usually kept them even out for at least 4 months. Then there was the medication. Those who did live in the Escena Asylum were only there because they had no living family members. These people either became homeless or died because of neglect. As for the loco nut, he was mimicking the moves of Bruce Lee. Since Eduardo was not familiar with a martial art, he mistook the yelling of the neighbor as noises typically made by crazy people. Lucero gave a cursory, disdainful look at her neighbor, and the neighbor looked back at the girl, and he noticed the maiden's icy stare, which made him shiver. Her look reminded him of his commanding officer, a man who imagined that all people he met were beneath him. The first impression of Lucero was accurate. She typically looked down on everyone, including her own parents. For her, there was no one that was her equal. This is not to say she detested people. Rather, she could not relate to anyone, not even to her brother. It would take at least 2 decades for her to open out to her family, and to even get along with them. Even then, she only had share of what she thought or desired. Eduardo and Lucero turned a corner. Eventually, the two found themselves at the committee. Every neighborhood had a committee, with a symbolic meaning and voting. It was designed to make the locals feel like their petty thoughts and opinions mattered. Eduardo never bothered to go because he realized the pointlessness of the exercise. At the moment, there was nobody at the committee, aside from a sign. It was just a regular home that had been repurposed for public assemblies. At the other side of the block, behind the house, the pair saw a concrete garden. The children were playing there. Smiling, Eduardo said, "Look, Lucerito, dear, a park. You like playing at the park?" "Yes," said Lucero flatly. "Do you want me to push you on the swing?" asked Eduardo. "I can push myself just fine, thank you," said Lucero. She looked through the things, and she picked one that had a stable iron chair and a straight iron bar. There were other things made of iron shears, but she felt that the iron one was a better one. From then on, whenever she visited the park, Lucero always picked the same swing. One of the children beside her was standing on the swing, picking up high. Lucero started in college. She decided to play it safe, and she took a bit of info and started swinging very slowly. Eduardo and Ian came to give her a slight push. It was then when he noticed that the back garden was visible from the park. It was just behind a very low concrete fence. Eduardo thought it convenient. He waved at Irina, who was inspecting the back garden, and she waved back at him without much enthusiasm. When he turned around, he saw that Lucero was picking up quite the height. He was horrified when he saw the girl jump from the swing. She nimbly landed on her feet with her arms spread about for balance. She then proceeded to try to stop the swing in order to try to jump from it again. Lucero was fond of jumping games. Back in the old apartment, she would jump down the stairs. She would try to land from as high as many steps as she could. She did not jump from the top step to the mid-floor. Rather, she tried one step and then another before jumping down. She knew that 5 steps was her limit. The one time she had tried 5, she had miscalculated her landing and had fallen on her behind. The parents were not aware of this little jumping game of hers. Francis didn't know, and he always recommended prudence. Still, he would engage in it whenever playing with his little sister. And he also played hopscotch with her. While the regular game used 1 stone, the siblings added more stones as the games progressed for added challenge. The winner was usually the fellow who could jump from number 10 back to number 1. After hanging out in the park for a bit, father and daughter were summoned back to the house by Irina. On the way back, Eduardo heard the barking of dogs. They relaxed somewhat when they noticed that it was just a poor man and his dogs. The man looked so thin that Eduardo felt sorry for the fellow. When he came home, he asked Irina to make a plate for the starving neighbor. Normally, the leftovers were put away for later. Still, neither Francis nor Lucero liked eating all food, and so it was decided to offer the food to the poor man. The man with his dogs was known as Flint. When Eufrasio saw his grandmother giving food to the man, he imagined that Flint was Saint Lazaro in the flesh. He certainly did look the part, with a beard and the thin tan complexion. Flint did not eat all of the food right away. Rather, he took it home for his wife and daughter. Since this humble family did not have anyone in the United States, they had to make do with a basic basket, which just gave you enough to be undernourished. As for the dogs, Flint's curse had not been the ones that barked. Flint only went out to beg with his house because of the abandoned construction site a few blocks over. Anyone who was not in a large group usually got attacked by a pack of strays. One time, the cops had tried to handle the situation, but the dogs were nowhere to be found. One night, when a lone cop was walking home, he was maimed by the dogs. Ever since then, none of the locals had tried to do something about the strays living in the abandoned construction site. During the full moons, the barking of the dog